perfect. You'll be sitting up on stage.
Oh,
Well, after
Yeah.
she gets the award.
Yeah.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
Well, are we waiting for Jay?
Oh, you're
No.
ready.
Oh, is he coming up here?
He'll come. He'll get here.
Don't worry about
Don't worry
Jay.
about Jay.
Oh,
Jay will
Jay,
figure it out.
find
yeah,
us.
he has no problem.
Jay
Yeah.
will find us.
Yeah.
Find us.
He has a homing device.
Yeah.
Beep, 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 beep. Okay, we'll start with you, Mrs. Groza. Tell me about Lou's. Did you know him when he was in high school?
well, I knew of him. We were from a very small town in southeastern Ohio, Martins Ferry, and I was playing in the band at the time he was playing football. I was 5 years behind him in school, but I knew of him and knew the family, and I went on to New York to work, and he came to New York with his fraternity from Ohio State, and I was going to have dinner with his brother, who played basketball for Kentucky. They were known as Fabulous Five, and so Lou was there with his fraternity, and I was going to have dinner with his brother, and his brother got sick, and Lou came in his place, and it was love at first sight.
That's nice. Do you know anything about his high school career? Any stories about him playing?
Well, he was the captain of the football team and the basketball team and the baseball team, and they won. It was the only time that Martins Ferry has won the state basketball championship game, and it was the most exciting game they've ever had because he was fouled as the game ended. And basketball game can't end, on a foul. And he looked over at his coach, and his coach just went, go ahead and throw it. And because, as he said, he was the worst foul shooter on the team. I don't know if he was or not, but he threw the ball in, and they won. And then he threw the second foul shot, and it went in too. And so they went on to the finals that night and won. So it was very exciting. So in 1950, after we were married, and he was in the playing for the Browns in the championship game, and he kicked the field goal in the last few seconds to win the game, and everyone thought, oh, how exciting that was. But as he said, he'd already had one exciting moment before, years before.
That's a neat story. Yeah. Jeff, did you ever get to see your dad play professionally?
Yes, my dad played until I was 14 years old. He retired in '67, and so and that was his 21st year with the Browns. And so yes, I got to see a lot of games.
How exciting was that?
Oh, it was the best. I really wish that my kids would have had a chance to see him play.
Okay. How was he as a dad off the field?
Well, I think that's what makes him such a special person. He was not only a great father and grandfather and husband, but a great friend to the Cleveland Browns fans, and just very friendly to everybody he met. And so, he was a great example to athletes today.
Was he a strict dad? Did he discipline?
He was a no-nonsense dad, but he was, very, very warm and honest.
What's your best
Okay.
memory of him?
My best memory of him was when he was still playing. One of the things that always comes to mind is before the game, we would be up in the stands, and he would turn around and kind of search us out in the stands and then kind of wave to us before the game.
And he did have a wonderful career with all that.
And you got to go to practice on Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh, tell me about that.
Oh, we would just go to practices. At the time,
All the kids.
we would all go to practice, and it was his job, and we'd get to a point where it was like, oh, do we have to go again? But our friends all loved it, that's for sure. But looking back on it, it was a great experience that not too many kids get to have.
So the great success, did it change him as a person? Or
Oh no,
Oh.
no. He was always willing. He would be the last person at any event to sign autographs and talk to anyone that wanted to talk to him. He was just always willing to talk to a fan or a friend.
Okay. He had a long NFL career. Mrs. Groza, what do you remember as highlights of his professional career?
Well, he started playing, excuse me, when he came out of the military. He had signed his professional football contract when he was on Okinawa. So Paul Brown had he and Otto Graham and Marion Motley and Danny Lavelle was the first ones to sign. And but he went back to college and graduated in 1949. And we were married in 1950, and he had already played 4 years of professional football. And I think it was all the friends that we made, all of our old players, and he played for so many years. And I was the youngest when we were married, the youngest wife. And as it ended up, I was like the mother superior by the time his career was ending. And we still have those friends. And we had lots of wonderful trips, and we would go every chance we had, take the kids with us to speaking engagements all over the country. And because our 3 children were a year and a week apart. And then Judd came along 5 years later. But it was wonderful. It was exciting. We made friends too with the community. We lived in Berea, Ohio, where Baldwin Wallace College is, for 50-some years. So.
All right, between the two of you, tell me a really funny story about him. It doesn't even have to be football related.
Oh, will you tell him the one about?
Well, one of the stories he always told about, after playing for 21 years, how he knew it was time to retire was that he ran down under a kickoff, and a player from the opposing team knocked him down, and then he stood there, and the opposing player said, "Mr. Groza, I am so sorry." So he commanded respect from a lot of the players that were a lot younger than he was at the end of his
and
career.
on the opposing teams.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Did he have any great stories in high school? Did any things you remember that stand out? Like, was he
Well,
the guy on the team? I don't know how.
He was all state in football, basketball, and baseball, and could have played college basketball at several different Big Ten schools or large schools. So he was a well-rounded athlete and a great student too.
Why did he pick
Yes.
football?
Why?
sorry?
Why did he pick football?
Why did he pick football?
Well, he always said his favorite sport was basketball, but his brother played basketball, and he loved football, and he was good. He played offensive tackle. And
I think too that he planned to go to Ohio State. I think that was as far as he'd been away from home at the time, and that was probably maybe 100 miles away. So that was 100 miles to him at that point in his life was a long way, and so I think he chose Ohio State, and I think he liked Paul Brown, who was the coach at Ohio State then too.
Because it sounds like he could have excelled it.
Right.
yes, he could.
That's right.
Give me, Jeff, a really special childhood memory of him being a dad.
Well, the Browns would leave for training camp in mid-July, and he'd be gone for 6 weeks. But on the weekends, at least, we would go to visit. So it was always a great memory to be able to, see Dad after being gone for several weeks. And Paul Brown was pretty tough and pretty strict. He didn't let the players have a lot of freedom at the time. So that was a special treat for us to be able to visit Dad after a couple weeks away at training camp. And that was always a great day. I can remember a lot of those.
Did he want any of his boys to play football?
Well, we all played football, but not by not because he made us play football. We just grew up with it and we loved it. We all played a lot of different sports, though, too. And he was very supportive of anything we wanted to do.
Was he kind of like a coach, telling you what to do? And
He was always helpful with that, yeah. You had to listen. It was hard not to listen to that because he knew what he was talking about.
I can imagine. Mrs. Groza, what do you think Lou's response, if he were here with us right now and doing this interview and knowing that he's in
Well, I think he'd be very honored. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton. And he's had a street in our hometown named in his honor, Lou Groza Boulevard in Berea. And there's a Lou Groza Highway down in our hometown. And I think he would consider this one of the very top honors. He'd be very proud.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to say about him? To give us just a little bit more insight about him?
Well, he was a wonderful husband and father, and everyone loved him. And one of the nice memories, well, if there's anything nice about a memory like this, but they flew the flag at half-staff when
At the stadium?
at the downtown in City Hall in Cleveland, and that was the only time they had done that for a professional athlete, and that was quite nice.
It sounds like you have a very close, loving family.
Yes, we do.
Wonderful memories, which is kind of unique nowadays, you know?
Yes, and there were no drugs and all the things that you hear. I mean, we were just one big happy family. The team was then, and I think that's why they had so many winning years. The last championship was in 1964. So.
And then there is an award named after him.
Yes,
Tell me about that.
in Palm Beach, West Palm Beach, the top college kicker of the year is named in his memory, the Lou Groza Award. And last year, the recipient was, 2 years ago, was the boy from Ohio State, and that was special. They've all been wonderful kids, and they've gone on to play professional kick, and so that's very nice.
Jeff, how do you think, if he were sitting here and I asked him how he would like to be remembered, what would he say?
More than a football player, he would want to be remembered as a humble, kind, generous father and friend.
Okay.
Well, that's a good definition.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to say?
Well, I could tell them about the championship game when I was sitting in the television booth at the end of the stadium with some close friends that I sat with every Sunday. And we won, the game ended, and all of a sudden everyone was out on the field and everyone climbing up the goalpost. And I turned to my friend and said, "Look at those crazy kids, they're going to get hurt." And there was Jeff and John on top of the goalpost. Oh,
Did you get a scolding from your dad?
No.
What are you guys doing up there? Get out.
Oh.
Those are good
It's
memories.
funny.
No, it was a great childhood. Great childhood, really was.
It was a sad day when the Cleveland Browns were sold and went to Baltimore, and a couple of years until we got a team. And now we have a beautiful new stadium and lots of fans.
That's what counts. Okay, well, thank you, if that's all.